Plus somebody wake up, I move on and don't want you back. So give up and don't call me back, yeah. I move on and don't want you back. Plus somebody.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. This morning we have a very interesting topic up next. Is the truth about men's pain after a breakup. To have this conversation, let me welcome counseling psychologist Shakir London. Good morning to you, Shakir.
Good morning to you, Rockers, to the Now team, and to all the viewers. Pleasant morning to all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is a very interesting topic, and we've been having lots of conversations about it in studio as to how we should even begin to broach this topic. And all the men have a very specific way that they want it dealt with. But I want to start with often the misconceptions about men when it comes to a breakup. Can we start there?
Yes, definitely. I mean, when we think about men, a lot of people, they believe that men recover faster. A man is able to just bounce back after a breakup. He goes on to another relationship. Some people believe that men feel less pain. He appears to be normal. Everything appears to be okay. And so he's probably not going through a difficult time or an emotional time after a breakup. But those things are misconceptions. We expect that emotional expressions of pain are the only ways in which pain, are indicators of pain, and that is not the case.
So then how does it show up for men then? If it's not showing up the same ways that it would show up for women or the ways that the public expects it to show up, how does it show up, or what can we look for when we look for the pain that a man might be going through after a breakup?
So you would find that some men resort to self-harming or destructive behaviors. He may try to escape in alcohol or even marijuana. You might find that some men overwork. They may go to work and they may be the person cracking the jokes on the work. So they're presenting this mask as if everything is okay. So you may find some men doing that. And a lot of men, they suppress the pain. It may come across or it may manifest as anger. So you may find this man is lashing out. So whereas we may expect that someone in pain would be crying and sad and depressed, it may not look like that for a man. The man might jump into promiscuous sexual relationships, So all of these are things that you would see showing up, when a man is going through pain. That may be different from how a woman might express it.
Now, some of the things that you're talking about there don't sound very healthy. Abuse of alcohol, abuse of any drugs, of course, promiscuity. None of these things sound healthy or like the way that we should be going. So what advice would you give to men in terms of helping to cope after a breakup in a more healthy manner so that you can either move on or you can develop yourself accordingly, as the case may be?
Yeah, so, there are a lot of things that a man can do. He has to, first of all, redefine what his life could look like, because a man would have a vision for his life with this person that he's with, this future that he would have built in his mind. So now he has to create a new future, what that can look like. And that could be a difficult process, but it is also necessary. A man investing into himself, self-care. You'd be surprised how many men out there have no routine, no regimen when it comes to self-care. So setting aside time for you, your exercise, physical exercise, you're eating healthier, you're getting enough sleep. These are things that men can use to change, work on himself during this time that he's going through loss, working on his relationships, his social connections. What you find happening sometimes is that when a man is in a relationship, he's looking to his partner or his spouse as his emotional support. When he's going through a difficult time, that is the person he leans on. So with that person no longer in the picture, he now has to find probably friends that he might not have been connecting with in a while, family members that he can draw support from. And it's so important for a man to have that. Yeah, being able to also self-affirm, face the emotions. I realize that this is hurting me a lot. I realize I'm struggling with this, but I can still move forward with my life. I can heal. There is life after this relationship. So he's making statements, declarative statements. He can do it out loud, but definitely in his mind, that is able to help him resolve and to heal from the pain that he's going through. And then getting professional help, coming and see a counselor or a therapist, where he can get some assistance in processing his pain, especially when you find that The man has gone through trauma due to abandonment. A father leave the house and he's there longing for daddy's love or mommy's love. And this relationship now has ended, and it has brought back to the surface all of these deep-rooted
Past
feelings
trauma.
that he has not dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may need to get that type of support.
On the next level. So, Shakir, let me ask this though. In terms of one of the things that I've seen pop up on social media, in particular over the weekend, was a gentleman who would have been, for lack of a better term, friend zoned, right? So female friends, he had female friends, and he was interested in the female friend, and what felt like him being strung along. So she maintained the friendship, knowing that he was attracted to her, as the case may be, and then boom, now she ends up in a relationship with a whole other man, family settled down, everything, and you still stuck there hoping that that friendship would have blossomed into, that friendship on fire, as they say, that becomes love and marriage, etc., etc. Some men aren't able to cope with that either, even though they weren't in an actual relationship with this person. They were in a friendship, not a romantic relationship. What advice would you give to men who struggle with that differentiation?
I mean, people have different perceptions and beliefs with regards to men and women being friends. You know, I think for a man, I think it's important for a man to declare his intention in some way. He has to let this person know my interest in you is more than just friendship. If she's saying that this is not something that she wants, or she just sees you as a friend, then he has a choice to make. He has to decide, okay, I need to distance myself. I need to create some space between this person and myself, because I'm giving them all of this emotional attention. They're feeling good. I'm always there. If they need something, they would call on me. You're providing the support that is necessary in a relationship, but you're not in a relationship. And situations that could be really, really challenging emotionally for men, because you feel hurt. She's with someone else and you are there. You know, I think that if he's able to step away, it may cause the lady to see him in a different light. But at the end of the day, it is him valuing himself, realizing, okay, I am important too. My life ought not to revolve around this individual. So get active, get some hobbies, learn some new skills, immerse yourself in your education or your development, your work. So he has things that are distractions, or that will take him away from this type of relationship. Yeah, and he's able to express his intent. This is what I want. I'm looking for something more. If you can't give me that, let me move on. And yeah. But that could be a real challenge, and a lot of men end up in places like that where they
I
don't
was
know
about
how
to
to
say,
navigate.
I was about to say that that sounds good in theory, right? But to actually practice doing that would be a little bit more difficult, and a little bit more difficult to navigate it as well. What advice would you give to men navigating both the romantic and the friendship relationships where things go sour? I mean, I know you said earlier, get hobbies. I know you said earlier, figure out your routine. But and other than that, like, what sort of navigation technique should we be trying as men?
As a man, if this relationship isn't working for you, who are the people that you can lean on? So I remember I was a part of a group of friends. I went to college with them. We would hang out. We would talk about sports. We would talk about games. We would talk about college life. We'd reflect and laugh and have a good time. But one of the men, he was going through a situation like that. The relationship had ended, and in the middle of this coming together amongst us friends, he kind of like broke down. He didn't know how to deal with it, and we didn't know how to deal with it. But I was so glad that he saw this space as a space that he could bring this to, because we were able to just kind of be there for him and encourage him and provide that type of support. Men, sometimes we wrestle with situations by ourselves. So it's good when you have people around you that can help, that can give you some encouragement, and people that will empathize with what you're going through. You have some men that will say, boy, get over that. There's plenty fish in the sea. They will minimize what you're going through. So you want to have the type of men that will hear you, that will be there for you, and that will try to help you to heal from what you're going through.
How do you
For some. Uh-huh.
as a man, how do you figure out where those friendships lie? Because, I mean, you might, like you mentioned, you have your college friends, you might have friends from secondary school, from the neighborhood, as the case may be. How do you determine who are the people I should be venting this to, who I should be looking for assistance or guidance from? That may not be professional. You might want to start with your community, with your direct circle to vent it at first. How do you identify the people who you should trust with this information?
I think identifying comes with time and consistency. I have to take time to get to know people, and I may try or share with them little bits of information. And if they are consistently pouring positivity into me, encouraging, using encouraging words, providing that support, and you're seeing that type of behavior consistently over a period of time, it gives you an indicator, okay, this is something that I can share with this person. There's some people that you go out in the road and you speak to them. There's some people that you would bring into your yard and then you would have conversations with them. Some people that you bring into your house. So as time goes by, you're able to figure out where can I meet this person. You can't share what you're going through with everyone. And for some men, they feel so ashamed even having to share these type of feelings, because we wrestle as men internally by ourselves a lot of the times. So having at least that one person that you could say, hey, I'm real struggling right now, and they're there for you. And because you've tested the waters in the past, you know that you could trust them with this, so that you don't end up in a space where you're going through depression or anxiety disorder, or you come and you have a session, you go for counseling, and you get that confidentiality that allows you to ventilate what you're feeling in a
Yeah.
safe space.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question, Shakira? I know you have your confidentiality agreements with your clients, etc., right? But do you have a lot of men that come and see you after breakups? Is that something common?
Well, that is actually the time when you would more than likely see men come in for sessions. So most of the times, women are the clients. Women are the ones who would come during the relationship, after the relationship. Men come when everything falls apart. Men come when, yeah, the clothes pack up and the bags outside. Men come when she pack up and she leave. Men come when things are falling apart. That is when men would show up, usually with the intention of what can I do to get this, to heal this relationship, to get her to come home, you know. And so men would come, and at that time, by that time, it's sometimes too late. But I'm always glad to work with men, because there's so many hurting men out there, and men that believe that you suppress your emotions. It's not okay for a man to share what he's feeling. So I'm glad that when a man comes, sometimes before the session starts, the man might break down
Yeah.
because he's been carrying so much. Yeah.
But Shakir, why do you think that men feel that way, like that need to carry the weight of it, to carry everything, to suppress everything, and to just power through life?
I think we're socialized like that. I mean, I have an 8-year-old son, and I remember when he started second primary school, he fell down one day and cut his knee and stuff. So when he came home, usually at home, if he falls down, he would start to cry and whatever, and we comfort him. So I asked him, "You cry?" He said, "No, Daddy." I said, "How come?" He said, "Big boys don't cry." So he has already learned that in social settings, he has to be very protective of his emotional landscape. He can't just express the pain and the sorrow in a public way. And yet, when you look at that, you realize that as men, we have been taught um, to hide a lot of the things that we feel and not express it in healthy ways, or even express it at all. Men are often allowed to express joy. You see men laughing and stuff, and anger. You see a man angry, two men fighting on the road, but a man navigating feelings of fear, shame, guilt, these types of emotions, sadness. Men distance themselves from that. And so we learn from very young. I have to be very careful what I share, what people see of me when I hurt. And so men will mask up until the times when they attempt to take their lives. A lot of times we won't even know, you won't even see the signs because they hide so well. I've had cases where family, no one knows that the man is going through depression, not work, not home. He's done such a great job of hiding it because there's shame attached to people seeing this side of me. It says This is what he believes. It says that I am not a real man. I am not strong. I am soft. I am weak. And a lot of men cannot deal with that. You know, we tell boy children. I remember as a young boy growing up, people would make jokes and you know they would call you sissy if you're too soft. We knew that anything that would place you in a more feminine life was something to avoid. You don't want to be called those types of names at all. So you will do anything that you could do to prevent being called. We know the names, I wouldn't call them on air, but we know the names that people would call
Of
men
course.
growing up that you try to avoid.
How do we even begin to repair that as a society? Should we be repairing that? Should we be telling our boys that, hey, no, it's fine, you can cry? Should we be telling our boys it's fine? You should be able to feel sad wherever you want to feel sad, or do we continue perpetuating that because society is still filled with people, and I don't just mean men because
You
women
know,
do
I
it.
think it's a thin line.
Yeah, go ahead. It's a thin line. Shakir, hello.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thin line. Women are more attracted to, I think, that masculine man, those men that are presenting that side of themselves. But we still have to be able to have conversations about men's mental health. There's a support group that I run privately once a month where men come together and the men are able to use that as a place to ventilate. And as men, we need that because for some of them they don't talk to anybody else about the deep things that a man would wrestle with,
Right.
you know. So having conversations like these where we normalize men's mental health, where we normalize that men are facing challenges and going through stuff, and we can talk about it and process it in healthy ways. I think those are the things that can really really help, you know. So getting involved in men's groups, there are a lot of different men's groups out there that I, as a man, could get myself involved in, so that because a lot of men are alone, no friends, nobody to really lean on, and so you want to have spaces like that, you know. And I know that more is being done. I've seen more being done on the media, the radio, and television as well as on social media. And I think as men, just being able to tap into those things and learn, it allows you to learn and to grow. For lack of knowledge, my people perish. You know, as a man growing in knowledge, that realizing that I could be vulnerable at times, I could cry. You know, you might have to go in the shower and bawl, but I can still express that side of myself,
Yeah.
and find spaces where I can talk about these type of things.
Now, Shakir, we live in a time where technology is at the forefront of everything that we're doing, right? And we've seen the rise in situations where we have young boys who are becoming men, but they don't have the social skills at all to navigate that social setting that you're talking about, that friendship circle, like you mentioned. They may have no actual friends, but they communicate with people online all the time, or they engage with social media a lot, but they may not have people in their personal spaces. So they may not know how to navigate socially when it comes to either getting themselves into a relationship, getting out of one, or even just having social interaction generally, right? What advice would you give to, one, the parents of those young men who might be concerned about their social interaction skills, and then those young men themselves? What advice would you give them in terms of how to begin to navigate this life socially?
That's a real interesting question. Recently, I was interacting with a group of young men, teenagers, and you would be surprised how much fear they were feeling about becoming a man because of the things that you described. You know, so advice that I could give to parents is so important for young men to have some type of mentor, male figure that can sit down and have conversations with him, with your teenage sons about life, about choices, about social cues, relationships. You know, that is, I always feel so happy when I have teenagers as clients, young men, because I get to talk with them about things that we don't really have conversations about, you know, whether it is in spaces like the churches or in youth groups or in the police youth club or other groups that are out there where older men can be mentors for younger men. I think it's so, so important. You know, for the young man himself, um, being willing to put the devices down it might be hard because the devices are attached to dopamine, feelings of dopamine and pleasure, but being able to put them down and allow yourself to get involved in social spaces and that you can learn and that you can develop. It is not an easy thing to do. It's easier said than done, but I think it's really, really important. And for the fathers that are in the homes, making a conscious effort to be more mindful about spending quality time with your sons, about having conversations with your sons. So many times I hear daddy's there, but he's really not there. He's absent. Or whether he's in the home or even if he's not in the home, that as fathers, we are supposed to check in. We are supposed to have those conversations. We are supposed to be there for our sons because he's going to have to face life and the stresses of life. And as men, we know what that is, and we know the challenges that can come where that is concerned. I mean, mothers too, there's a role for mothers.
Of course.
But just making sure that there are males in a young man's life that he can model, because he's going to emulate, and if he isn't emulating the men around him, he's going to emulate what he sees on social media, and you don't always get the best picture. He's going to emulate what he sees in the community as to how to navigate life as a man. So, we have a lot of work to do where that is concerned.
Definitely a lot of work to do. Shakir, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing these thoughts. I think it definitely gave us a lot to think about and a lot to consider moving forward. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and a pleasant day to you and to all the viewers.
You as well, sir. Take care. That's counseling psychologist Shakir London sharing with us the truth about men's pain after a breakup and some ways to navigate it as well. Let's take a quick break and we come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.
Break up, I move on and don't want you back. So give up and don't call me back, yeah.